Hold on. Case openings? Case openings? Wait.
A ton of money from
is that
hold on, it's my closing
they
thought.
actually everyone's saying they ran out of 3 because they feel it's profitable.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Catalyst Effect podcast. This is episode 28 brought to you by Whack Me Games. Shout outs to them for sponsoring the episode. As always, I'm joined by my Catalyst brothers, Crypto Hado and Missy. But today we have a super special guest. We have Max from Nyan Heroes. What is up, Max? Thank you for being on the show, man. How are you today? How are you feeling? And happy Sunday, by the way.
Yeah, happy Sunday. What is up, Catalyst crew? Thank you so much for having me on this show. I am stoked to be here. It's been a busy weekend. We are currently live with our servers, so the team has been working hard over the weekend. You know, we're seeing bugs as they come through. We're trying to kind of hot fix things as they go. So it's been very busy, but really happy to be here with you guys.
Dude, you have no idea how hype I am for you guys to have brought the game back and have it open again.
We were empty inside, man.
Oh my god, man. It was like the worst. It was like what was it? Like almost like a 2-month break. It was like the
I don't know, man.
feeling, man. It was so bad. I thought I was never gonna have a shooter that I enjoyed again. I was like, oh no, this is bad, guys. But happy to see the game back online. I did want to have so much to ask and so much that we want to get into. But before we do all of that, Max, we like to start the show kind of giving the floor back to the guests and letting them kind of explain a little bit of what the project they're working on is for any new listeners or anybody finding out about Nyan Hero for the first time. Can you let them know exactly what the game is, and can you give us a little bit of a backstory of what inspired you guys to create this type of game, right, and this type of shooter?
Yeah, absolutely. And just by the way, the game has only been down for about a month. You felt like it was 2 months, so I think that says something, man. Like you really kind of
I couldn't take it,
missing
bro. I couldn't take it. It was too long.
Yeah, I mean, appreciate the opportunity to give a little intro. So, for those of you guys who aren't aware, Nyan Heroes is a game that we've been building on Solana for just over 2 years. We consider it a competitive movement shooter that's built around one of the quirkiest IPs you'll ever see. You are a player that controls a small cat that is piloting a giant mech. It is a hero shooter, so you have multiple different classes of mechs that you can choose from, each with their own unique cat pilot. And with each mech, you have a different set of abilities that you can use. A few things that kind of help us stand out from, obviously a lot of hero shooters out there in Web3, but particularly Web2. We are trying to do something different. So whilst we do have some inspiration from other existing games, as all games typically do, we also have some fairly unique mechanics that we've been building out from the ground up. So the first one that hopefully some of you guys are aware of already is our movement. The vision is to create a traversal mechanic that gives players the sense of freedom that they would have if they were a cat. So all the mechs can run on walls, can climb up walls, can do sort of mid-air moves. Each character has a different sort of mobility ability as well. So our movement is something that defines us. The other thing is that once your mech dies, every player gets like a last stand mechanic as a little cat. Currently, the cat is a little quirky. We definitely want it to be a bit quirky, but the functionality and the full feature set of the cats is yet to be realized. That'll come out in another later update. So something to look forward to. And then the final thing that we are really trying to create uniqueness around our game is our ability system. We do have one special ability that each mech has called an augment. It is difficult to explain, easy to understand if you've played the game, but it's a dynamic ability that changes its effect based on the primary weapon loadout that you have equipped. So depending on what kind of combination of primary weapon you decide to take out into the battlefield, your augment ability, which is currently on the E button, will have a completely kind of different / unique effect, which opens up the game to a lot of potential and strategic diversity in terms of what kind of loadouts, what kind of classes you want to pick, and then obviously you have to build a team composition around all of the above. So yeah, those are some of the main core mechanics that Nyan Heroes has been built around. And I guess the inspiration for it all is pretty crazy as well. So I obviously, you can tell I'm a bit of a cat person. I've got 5 cats at home. I've been a cat owner for many years, and I've also helped a lot of cat charities in my personal time off. So I kind of fused my love of cats with my love of anime when coming up with this IP. It's actually inspired of Neon Genesis Evangelion, an OG anime, one of the first that I ever watched that got me into the whole anime scene. And the idea was, what if I were to put my cats in the mech suits, in the Avas, instead of the little kids that are in the show? And essentially, that is how the IP was born. And we've had multiple iterations of the art style. Initially, it was a bit more quirky, a little bit more cutesy, but now I think, you can kind of tell we're definitely leaning into the more, I guess, competitive, sort of cool-looking style, a bit of East meets West style with a bit of anime influence as well. So yeah, that's a little bit of background.
Dude, I absolutely love that story. I mean, that's a super unique inspiration story. I thought most projects they go into the route of we were inspired by this game and so on, but I love that you guys drew inspiration from your love of cats and your work there. I'm a huge cat person as well. I have 2 beautiful cats that live with me, and they're sassy as hell, but I love them. But yeah, man, so many things that you touched on that I want to get back to. But before we do that, I wanted to give out some shout outs here in the chat real quick. I see Jackie already in here saying, "Hey guys, what's up? And happy Sunday." What is up, Jackie? Thank you for being on the show. We have Casting Arcs saying that he loves Nyan Heroes. We got George asking, "Where's Max?" Man, Max is right here. He's a beautiful cat eating a salad. All right. He's doing great. He's doing great. We have Sir Sapien saying, "Hey, happy Sunday, everyone. What is up, Sapien?" We have Meat Proc saying, good morning, and that he loves Nyan Heroes. Atiz saying he loves Max BFB. Legendary. But thank you so much to everyone that's in here.
Real quick.
Yes, sir.
Which one of you bad motherfuckers wants to hop into lobbies with me? And shout out everyone. Shout out Sersky, Meat Procs, Jorge. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. But hop in fucking lobbies, people.
Help this man.
The titties, hop in ASAP, please.
He'll hop in. He's gonna hop in. Atiz is gonna help you out. Atiz, help him rank up, bro. For the love of God.
Look, I don't need help ranking up. I'm just trying to have the homies on. We have to shine together, bro.
I feel you, man. Hey, Max. Well, let's get back into what you were talking about, man. I love the fact that you brought up the movement mechanics, right? Because I believe that's a huge part of the game itself, and just the whole composition of control of the map, right? Control of the OBJ, which is a huge part of the gameplay too, right? Can you elaborate a little bit? I know you mentioned that you guys tried to get as close with the mechanics as cat movement possible, right? Like the climbing on the walls, the being able to run on the walls. But can you get into a little bit more detail of the amount of focus and work that it took from the developing team to really get those mechanics down and as smooth as they feel right now? Because I know you guys are still improving them, but right now, to me, it feels pretty smooth. But can you touch a little bit more on that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll say one thing first is that, yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to the traversal systems and the movement systems. This is our pre-alpha implementation, and I think it's pretty good. It's decent. It definitely showcases what we were trying to do. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of optimization to be done. We're already working on it behind the scenes. There's a lot of improvements that's been made in what we call our main branch that we test internally on the studio that you guys don't get to see yet, just in the live build. But a lot of improvements already. But so far, we're really happy with kind of our proof of concept. It does feel really good, and it feels really unique, and that's ultimately what we're trying to do. I think it was definitely a challenge to build this kind of movement system from scratch, because I think for people who are roughly, knowledgeable about game dev, there's a lot of systems that you can get either off the shelf or slightly tweak to your own needs that have a basic kind of shooter or third person shooter move set, camera, gunplay. And that kind of gives you most of what you need. And obviously you can tweak it here and there. But to take something like that and to actually build a completely unique, bespoke traversal system centered around, wall running and wall climbing and all these mid-air acrobatics, it's a huge feat. And on top of that, you have to take into consideration the challenges around doing this in a multiplayer environment. So it's really easy to create something unique and exciting in a single player environment because you don't have to worry about networking, you don't have to worry about netcode. But if you are doing this in multiplayer environments, it is exponentially more difficult. So really happy with what the team has put together. We have some great network engineers working around the clock on making sure that all our systems work in a multiplayer environment, and it's still a work in progress. But so far we're really happy with it, and hopefully our players are.
Yeah, I think as me being a player that plays Nyan Hero almost every day, obviously when it's available, right? I can definitely see that you guys have done a tremendous amount of effort into the balancing part of the movement mechanics as well, right? Because although certain characters, like certain mechs, are slower than the others, like for example, when I see a character like Atlas, right? Much lower than a character like Ghost. But if you really learn the movement mechanics of Atlas, you can get as quickly, if not quicker, across the map or around the map than if you were playing Ghost, right? So I definitely think there's benefit to each character and their movement mechanics, right? It's just a matter of like players exploring the game a little bit and finding the gameplay mechanics that they're more comfortable with, right? But Hado, do you have anything to say on that? Because I know you've been playing as well. Have you thought anything? I know you used to play Overwatch and stuff like that. When you compare it to a game like that, how do you feel like the movement impacts the gameplay here?
Yeah, I think the movement is everything. You can get to higher places quicker and kind of take people out from different vantage points. I know Addis was like when we were playing it early on, Addis was finding places that we didn't even know you could get up to and like snipe from. And he was like being a little sneaky. Screw you, Addis. But I do have a question about like the overall vision of like the meta of the game and then like also like roles. Speaking of Overwatch, because like when you play Overwatch, you lock into like certain roles you play on a team. You have like your healers, your damage players, your tanks, and then you have like within those variations, you have your assassins as well. Different things like that. So, what does the vision look like for Nyan Heroes in that aspect?
Yeah, I mean, we are a hero shooter, just like Overwatch is, and just like I would say, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see the newest alpha of Marvel Rivals recently. They recently kind of came out in closed alpha. But yeah, I mean, we want to ensure that all of our characters have their own unique identity, but are also all viable in competitive gameplay. I think the main difference of approach that we have to a game like Overwatch, for example, is we eventually don't intend on allowing character swaps during our game, and in fact, it's not there at the moment either, and that's intentional because in Overwatch, a lot of characters have their quote unquote counters. And it does lead to this sense of, oh, well, if they pick my counter, then I'm useless and I'm just going to whinge about it until I die. And then I'll be able to change to their counter to counter their counter. And then when they die, they're going to change their character to counter my counter character. And it becomes this kind of like, circular type of situation, which ultimately I don't think lends itself that well to competitive. We're trying to build it off something more like Valorant or League, where you have picking bans, and then once you pick your character, you are locked in.
Yep.
And I think that's ultimately a more healthy way to look at character selection and balance, and then just to ensure that the balance team are balancing characters effectively, so that all characters are as viable as possible. And of course, you will have some counters, but ultimately, it's up to the player to be able to work out how to best manage that. And I think we do, because we have this ability to pick your weapons during the match, there is already some intrinsic ability to counter various characters depending on your weapon choice. So I think we don't need to be able to kind of allow players to switch characters mid game. And it also leads to a lot of just complaining that we've seen in Overwatch community. Like people like to complain like, oh, it's pay to win because someone bought the premium battle pass and they got this new character that's a counter to every other character out there, and because I'm not a paid player, it's pay to win. And I think this kind of system ultimately prevents or avoids that kind of mindset. And our goal is to make sure that all characters are viable. And I think we've done an okay job, even though it's only our pre-alpha. Like, obviously, people have their preferences. Mizzy probably likes the tank, as you can probably see, but I don't see an overwhelming sentiment of, oh, only this character is viable. I think we've seen, even in our statistics, a good proportion of all characters being chosen across our pre-alpha, or even our season 2 that's currently running. All characters are currently viable, which is great to see.
Yeah,
So-
I have
so
to.
the-
I have. Oh, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
I was gonna say, so do you think that data is gonna attribute to you then? Because I guess my second question to that would be, is there going to be an assigned role that you have to lock in before game, or is it just going to be, because in this game right here we have 3 tanks and we have 3 seraphs, I believe, and the other game on the other team there's yeah, on the other team there's no tanks at all. So I'm wondering, oh, those are ghosts. You're right. Sorry. So I'm wondering, are you guys going to use that data and like kind of shape how you want the game to be played, or is it just going to be like open season, anyone can choose any character?
We eventually are going to only allow one character to be chosen per side. In a similar way to Overwatch, you can't have 2 tracers running around. Obviously, we couldn't do that in our pre-alpha because we had 6 players and only 4 characters, so we had to allow duplicates. But eventually, it's just going to be one character per maximum per team. I personally am veering, nothing is set in stone right now, but personally, I'm veering towards not having specific roles and role queue. Ultimately, in my opinion, I think the meta of games like League of Legends is really exciting. You have your lanes, you have your typical character assignments in those lanes, but ultimately, you don't have to stick with them. And we've seen people play off meta picks in various different lanes. I remember there was one season where there weren't even that many AD carries down in bot lane. You could have a mage down in bot lane with the support. Yeah. And I think that's what ultimately keeps competitive games exciting. It's the ability to actually just define your own meta rather than having it served to you, on a plate, and you have to have 1 tank, you have to have 2 DPS, you have to have 2 healers. It's not something that excites me as much as the other option.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as you, man. I think for me, part of like the competitive play that I enjoy, right, being somebody that played competitive in Call of Duty, for example, in an era that there wasn't like roles, right? Like now you see Call of Duty and they have like a sub player, the main AR, a flex, right? These are all roles that you see in the league, but before you didn't have that, and I think it adds a layer to the competitiveness, where it's like you're allowing players to kind of adapt to whatever's more necessary in the heat of the battle, right? Like I remember in certain cases in battles that I would have in Call of Duty, it would be more beneficial to have 2 ARs at the moment rather than having 2 sub players, right? And that was something that you could adapt and change your loadout in game, right? To make that adaptability. Once you set a set role where you're only, hey, like, no, you're a sub player, you need to be playing with a sub right now and fill that role, right? It kind of like lacks that adaptabilities that certain players can make in a highly skill level scenario, and make that high paced decision that can change the whole overall of the match, So I'm with you on that, and allowing like kind of like players figure out the metas themselves. I did want to ask you, because part of this update that just came out, right? One of the biggest thing is the fact that you guys announced a rank play, right? And now you can kind of like play to achieve a rank and continue to progress right through that rank. But currently it's only like a quick playlist, right? Like you search and it's already in rank play. There's no like casual play and rank play separated. Is that something that you guys have in mind? Because if you did, then that would be something where you could implement, like maybe you have roles for rank play, but casual players can kind of choose the meta they want to play, you know, more openly.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We plan on separating out the queues eventually. For sure, when we go live, we're going to have multiple different queues. We'll probably, and I'm just guessing at the moment, we'll probably have casual queue with quick play where you can queue up solo or teams. It doesn't really matter because it's casual. We'll have another ranked queue where you probably have we might split that into two. So we might have one that's solo queue ranked, and then we might have one that's team, like full team ranked, and they'll be on different queues as well. The challenge at the moment in currently pre-alpha in our season 2 is we didn't want to segregate our player bases this early on, because otherwise, matchmaking, especially globally, we're already dealing with a lot of ping issues right now. Is we wanted to keep everyone in the same queue just so that at least people could find matches more easily. We wanted to get people in matches, even if their pings were bad, or even if they were a full team versus a solo queue player. Obviously, it's not ideal because now you have two or multiple different player bases queuing up in the same queue. You've got your casuals, you've got your solo queue rankers, plus you've got your team rankers, and they're all in the same queue. So obviously, there's going to be some friction. Some groups are going to be less happy than other groups, and I totally understand that. I actually agree with a lot of the comments that people are saying. It's like, oh, why don't you have multiple queues? All I can say is that this is the first implementation of ranked where you really wanted to do it, even though we thought that maybe this was too early. We really wanted to do it just to get some data, because we really need data in order to make sure that this system is robust later on. So we did it ahead of time. We're collecting data as we speak. Hopefully that'll be super useful later on for the rest of the dev team to look through all those numbers. But yeah, absolutely. We plan on having multiple different queues split up for your different player categories. And by that time, hopefully everyone should be happy.
Absolutely. Love that, man.
All right. I'm going to hop in here real quick. We got my man Clock who wants to know about keybind.
That's actually, so yeah, I know what the question is. I will say that on main branch in dev, that's already fixed. So we have the ability to adjust your keybinds. It hasn't been propagated into the live build yet, but we could expect that for the next one for sure.
Right. And then we have another question from the crowd via a titties. I love that you guys have a little cat mode. Oh, the last stand mode. What was the inspiration behind the last stand mode?
I'll say there was probably two inspirations behind that. The first one, I think a lot of people already recognize, which is the diva mechanic in Overwatch. Yep. But actually, I think for the people that are a little bit more clued in, you'll notice that our game mode and even the movement, it actually, like, we get a lot of comparisons with Overwatch, which obviously has its good and its bads as well. On my end, I'm super stoked whenever someone compares us to Overwatch, because at the end of the day, we're in different leagues right now. They have like a 600+ person team. They've been developing their IP for over 10 years. We have like a 45 person team we're developing for 2 years. If comparisons are being drawn, I consider that a win. Irrespective. But our gameplay, our game mode, as well as this little cat mechanic, it's actually closer to a Titanfall 2 mechanic than Overwatch. If people really kind of got involved in Titanfall back in the day, the predecessor to Apex, they'll recognize that it does play a bit more similarly. Even though the visuals, I would say, are more kind of aligned to watch the Overwatch, like Valorant style.
Yeah, I can definitely see the Titanfall reference as well. But man, I love the fact that you guys have so much going on. And one of the questions that I wanted to throw back to you of what you mentioned with the rank play queues, right? You said that there was going to be maybe like a solo one as well. Would that lead the game to also have a free for all game mode, or is that going to be like a solo queue for you to fill in, like, you know, a missing spot in a team, for example, if you don't have a squad with you?
What do you mean? Sorry, by free for all game mode?
So like, because you mentioned there's gonna be like a solo queue for the rank play, right? So like when I think solo queued is like, I'm not going in with a team. So does that means that it's gonna be like a free for all type of game mode where everybody doesn't have a team and we're just all battling out to see who has the highest score? Or is it gonna be like a solo queue that I'm gonna be filling in for like a team that has a slot missing, you know?
Oh yeah. So it's just solo queue. So you'll all kind of be individuals or duos, but you'll all be matched in that same sort of team of 6. So it's
Oh,
just
okay, cool.
that's kind of
So it allows the
uh,
player almost to like queued up without having the need to have a squad. Like it's
yeah.
just like basically like you can queued up.
It's
Yeah.
like it'll match make for you. It'll find your team for you, just like Overwatch does, or Apex does. If you queue solo, you can have the game help you find your two duos. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome, man. And the other question I wanted to ask you related to rank play was, so obviously you guys have done a great job at like all the airdrops and the missions that you guys have included, right? For people to earn, whether it's catnip or meow points, right? Is there gonna be a chance for players to to earn more of those through rank play than the casual queued, or is it gonna kind of like variate based on the missions that you do and all that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, so if you're referring to the current campaign right now, which is season 2, then yes, absolutely. Like you're playing season 2, you're ranking up. People who get higher ranks on the leaderboards will absolutely get a lot more catnip than people who rank lower on the leaderboards. I think for people that participated in season 1, they'll already be aware that our rewards for season 1 leaderboards were quite generous. I don't think we received any complaints from people ranking highly about those rewards. They were quite generous.
Yeah.
You could expect something similar in season 2 for ranking highly. If you're talking about live game, between casual versus ranked mode and how we're going to distribute the rewards, then the answer is also yes. We will be prioritizing rewards and end game kind of materials that you get, EXP, various drops. They'll also be prioritized for ranked mode, particularly so at higher ranks. So if you're competing at higher ranks like Diamond, Master, Master Plus, Grandmaster, for wins and performance in those tiers, you'll be rewarded highly as well, higher than say if you were competing in Bronze. The challenge is at the moment figuring out how do we create that curve so that even casual players will still feel like they are progressing, and it's not like they're getting nothing compared to these really skilled players. But at the same time, we want to make sure that this is a system that can't just easily be botted, and we're not rewarding sort of bot activity or farming activity too much. So that's the challenge right now.
Yeah, man. I personally love having the progression system in place because we talk about this all the time in Catalyst, is that gratification that gamers really enjoy, right? Of seeing their freaking ranked in placement in a leaderboard or like in game, and everybody else can see it, right? Like who's gonna be the first person to reach Grandmaster, right? Like can anybody reach Grandmaster within the playtest
It's a get good economy.
window?
That's what Nyan
Yeah,
Heroes
exactly. Well,
is.
that's exactly, yeah. That's a beautiful way to put it. Actually, it's a get good economy, and like your skill is really going to showcase here, right? Like if you're really fucking good at the game, then you're going to be up there in that rank, right? And people are going to see that, and hopefully, if you're a competitive player like me, that drives me to want to beat you. I see your name up there, and is that my name? I want to change that. So I'm gonna be grinding just as hard to make that happen.
Yeah,
Yes,
I do.
sir.
I do want to hop in and ask a quick question here because the maps in this game, they have so much detail on, like, even if when you notice like the actual like rising wall, there's like a little cat face there, and there's a lot of like detail, right? So my question for you, Max, on the maps. First of all, shout out to the level designer because there's a lot of high and low elements, and there were some missions that you had to like travel distance in the air or climb walls and stuff. So doing those tasks, I was noticing all these little things in the maps. How many maps are you guys targeting for the launch, and how more detailed are these maps going to be? Are they going to be very cat reminiscent in all these different maps that are coming out? Because I really love the design.
Is this your way of saying that you want one of those scratch pull maps? Is that it?
I mean, sky's the limit, right?
Hilarious, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate that. I mean, these maps were, again, like, I think our art team did an amazing job, and our level designers did an amazing job. Ultimately, these were kind of the first iteration of maps out of the gate, and so, you know, I think they served their purpose. They're quite good, but there's still a lot of room to improve. I don't think we'll be getting rid of these for a live game, but we'll more likely just be supplementing these with more maps. You know, without sort of trying to guarantee anything necessarily, I would say that on live launch, we would be targeting at least, you know, 6 to 8 map rotations. And this one that you're currently seeing Mizzy play, we count this as one, even though it's 3 maps, it's one kind of rotation. So we would be targeting, you know, 6 to 8 of these. It's not all necessarily going to be 3 maps. Some of them will just be one long map. Some of them might be, you know, 3 maps again. But essentially, we want to ensure that there's a good rotation of variety for our players to sort of not get too bored. I know currently there's a lot of people saying, "Oh man, we really want new maps. When are we going to get some new maps?" The answer is soon. But yeah, we want to make sure there's variety.
I don't know, man. Like I've played the game a lot. I'm pretty entertained with the current maps. People just like to bitch, in my opinion, but whatever.
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, man, you got 3 maps that feel pretty solid.
Yeah.
And they're pretty completed, you know, and they're fun to play. And I agree with Max. I think what people forget is that there's so much that developers can do with a map, right? Like if you guys remember like early Call of Duty days, right? They would do a DLC map, and then like 2 weeks later, they would have like the same map, but it would be the night version, you know? And that completely changed the dynamic of how that map was played. You get me? Because certain corners were darker, certain details weren't there, you know. So there's definitely ways that a team can make a map more playable and like different, right? Without having to design a completely brand new map, you know. So
Well, I'm not really asking for more maps because I hate the maps. I'm more asking for more maps because it kind of explains the lore of this world, right? And I want to see more of that storytelling through the maps, because to me, you have all these different structures and different like dynamic things in the maps currently that kind of detail the Nyan Heroes world, right? So when you get more maps, you're going to get to see more of the vision of what the world of Nyan Heroes is. So that's one thing. And the other thing too is like game modes. Right now we're doing King of the Hill, and with other maps, you could introduce new game modes. And I don't know what you guys' plans for that is, but that's the kind of vision or the kind of questioning I'm going through. It's not really like the maps are, you know, they're not good or anything. I'm just wondering, like,
yeah, dude, my response wasn't to you. It was to the people that hit up Max and were like, we need more map. Yeah, brother. Yeah. Like, I know where you're coming from. You don't gotta, you know, you don't have to defend it on me. It's just there's a lot of fucking idiots out here.
Wait, hold on. Something's happening.
Are we getting some alpha right now?
Wait. Something's happening.
Something's happening.
Oh shit!
What the
fuck is this?
Oh shit!
You guys see this?
Yeah.
Damn.
Here's little alpha for the next
Can we full screen him real quick?
This is the moment that if you're in the chat, you want to be putting your eyes in the.
If you're in this lobby with me right now, fuck the fucking game. Go look.
How do I full screen him?
You full screen the wrong person. Hold on, let me do it.
Full screen it real quick because I want everyone to see this. This looks cool.
All right, there we go.
There we go. Ooh, there's so much. What is that in the background that's frozen?
It's like
it's
gigantic
it's got ears, it's got claws.
Cat God.
Cat God, yeah.
I'm loving this. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Nah, this looks really freaking cool, man.
Yeah,
I almost so many thoughts.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it off, but there's a bit of alpha for you guys. I'm kind of with Hado here. Like, it's not that we necessarily think that the maps are bad or anything, but ultimately, I think players are excited when they get exposed to new biomes that are thematically diverse and fantastical. And we also want to craft that narrative and the lore behind these maps too. So now, because people will see that image and be like, what is this giant thing that's frozen in the ice? What is the story behind that? How does it link in with the overall narrative and lore? And that's what we kind of want to build around all of these maps coming together. So yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of plans to be sort of diversifying our map rotation as well as our game mode rotation. So yes to all of the above, basically.
Dude, I'm super hyped to get more game modes in here because that's gonna definitely make the game more even more interesting, But I do appreciate the fact that you guys are kind of like I appreciate the fact that during this playtest we don't have a lot of maps just because it really gives you guys the data and the focus to make sure the mechanics are good, make sure that roles play out well throughout the map composition. You get me? And there's nothing like super broken or anything like that with the characters. So I think it just gives the teams a little bit more time to like make sure those things are completely solid, Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Real quick, I said cook. Yo, so Max, like something that I love about every time I've listened to you talk, because I know you did like the podcast with 100X, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't think it's highlighted enough how much of a fucking gamer you are, right? Like you're always making like these very, very intricate gamer references, and that's what I always fuck with the most. So like, what's your Mount Rushmore of games? Like, what's your top 4?
Top 4 games, man. You're really gonna do me like this live?
Yeah, man, because you make too many like deep ass gamer references, and I'm just like, holy shit! Like this guy. That's honestly like before I even played Nyan, that was like one of the things that I respected the most about you as like just a random viewer, right? I was like, holy shit! Like finally, there's very few devs that can actually like match me on my like nerd levels with games. Same thing with the guys up here, right? So it was really cool to see.
Can I pick 5? Because it's hard to bring it down to 4. Okay, so three are from my childhood when I was a little younger. So I would have to say Zelda, Ocarina of Time, classic. This one might be a hot take. Not everyone's going to agree with me, but Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, I can see that.
Solid pick.
And then another old one, but a goodie is Smash Brothers Melee.
Yes!
You're talking. You just talked to Hado's heart.
My man,
his heart heavy, man.
My man, let's go.
Yeah, the
the
two newer ones. I say newer, but technically it's not that new. Is I have to give a shout out to Overwatch just because when Overwatch 1 came out, it sucked away so much of my time, and me and my group of friends, we would play that game religiously, and it was a redefining moment in the hero shooter genre, which as much as people are giving it crap now, and Blizzard is kind of running it into the ground or whatever, and they've sold it to Microsoft, so we'll see what happens. But that game in its original form still holds a lot of nostalgia for me. Nothing will ever change that, irrespective of what happens.
Remember when it was going to be Project Titan?
Oh yeah.
And we thought we were going to get like the world's next biggest MMO, and they were like, "Just kidding, you're getting the PvP mode." I'm still salty about that, bro. Like, oh man, who was your Overwatch main?
Who's my Overwatch main? It was Tracer.
Oh, nice. Respect.
Yeah, man.
I was always trash to be study with Tracer.
Big sucker for like movement heroes, but eventually when my kind of age caught up to me and my reflexes kind of slowed down, I was like, you know what, I'm not cut out for this. So I've recently, I mean, I still play whenever I can. I still play with the team sometimes. We do a bit of research. I go for the chill style now. I'm a Sigma main nowadays. It's a super chill play style, honestly. That guy is broken. So yeah, I play a lot of Sigma these days. The other game I just want to get out there, is relatively new, is Elden Ring. I don't think anyone can really look past that one.
Yeah, Elden Ring was a great game.
I played a lot of Reaper, Lucio. Yeah, a lot of Lucio. I love running around the walls and all that shit. So that's like when the game mechanics for this came out, I was like, yes.
I love Lucio. It's just I can't love the way that his main weapon works. Like it's like I just wish the projectile speed was a little faster. But otherwise, minus that, he is awesome. And he there was a lot of inspiration of his like kind of wall running mechanic as well that we built in. But I mean, it's hard to kind of identify one pure inspiration source, because wall running is not unique to Lucio and Overwatch. There's a lot of games that have wall running in it, like I mentioned, Titanfall. Even from the same developer, Respawns, like Jedi, like Fallen Order, like they have wall running as well. So I think and Warframe, who can forget? So yeah.
One more selfish gamer question: who was your main in Melee?
Who was my main in Melee? Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff, let's go.
Oh my god, one of those people.
That is hilarious, man. That is hilarious.
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I think the main reason why I mained Jigglypuff was just because I wanted to dunk on Fox and Falco mains, because their fall speed was terrible for the rest. Like it was at a 100% rest hit if they were on certain percentages. That was great.
That's why we drill shine you.
Shout out.
Wait, who's your main in Melee?
Oh, mine was Falco, but I also played a bit of Peach, so it's very different styles.
Peach, that's interesting. I haven't met many people that use her, but that's cool.
Yeah, she was good though. She was good. If you knew how to combo with her little turnip thing, it was oppressive.
Yeah, and her down smash, if you could get the right spot, you could get all 4 hits, and it's like deadly. It's just broken.
Yeah, she was like a Fox Falco like counter because of their weight. Her down smash was really good. Her neutral air had so much priority. She was really good.
Yep.
Yo, real quick, Atreides, Sersky, and Damien, I got rugged, so we need to requeue. And shout out Icy.
Yo, what up, Icy?
He doesn't like how Hato was smashing them in Kronos Worlds yesterday. He thought that was very rude. But guess what? My boy Hato showed up to represent. He took care of business, man.
It's all that
but Nikki gave me a
experience, bro.
Yeah, but Nikki gave me a thrashing. She gave me I don't know what happened. Like, it was all a blur.
Is that who you lost to?
That was the third place match, but I lost to Yin actually.
Oh, okay, cool.
That freaking camper.
Damn, you're gonna have to change your name to NGMI now.
Trust me, I made plenty jokes in the video I uploaded. So,
yo, the BBL Drizzy playing while you were getting clapped, bro. I was fucking gone.
I was like, this has to be the music that Nikki would beat my ass to.
Prof says he definitely has some feedback for movement. I don't know if he's in the chat still, but Prof, if you send us that feedback, if you're not here right now, I'll hit you up in the DMs and we can get that feedback over to Max for sure.
Yeah, please do. We really want as much feedback as we can from community at the moment, because this is where a lot of things can still change. We're still experimenting, we're still refactoring. So please send it across.
Yes, awesome. Sir. I had to log back in, Addis, because the invite thing wasn't working. So give me like a minute.
Have you guys been winning the matches?
Now we were winning one, and then Lex hopped into the lobby, and we all got fucked. But we've had some pretty good. We've had some pretty good showings. I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, I was surprised not seeing him on top of the leaderboard on this play test.
I think he's just waiting, man. I think he's just
probably. Waiting. Yeah, we all saw what he could do in the first one. But listen, man, we talked a lot about the updates on this current playtest. One of the most common questions that I see around the community, or just whenever you speak to someone in Nyan that's playing the game, is how exactly does earning Catnip work? Can you kind of like explain it to us if we were fifth grader, right? What's the easiest way for somebody to understand how you earn catnip by playing matches?
If we were fifth graders.
If we were fifth graders,
Yeah. So I guess there's a bit of confusion about the catnip mechanic, and it's totally our fault because we're using the same term for two different things. So right now in season 2 of our airdrop campaign, the point-based system that everyone is grinding for is called catnip points. And so, this one should be fairly easy to understand. You get catnip points for various missions. Some of them are social. We don't have that many social missions this time around. You do get them also for just holding some NFTs. However, the bulk of them are going to be earned through doing in-game missions. You've got daily missions, you've got weekly missions, and then some unique missions. And completing all of them will get you catnip points. And then the final thing is ranking on the leaderboard will get you catnip points. Essentially, what will happen at the end of this season is that we'll have a pool of airdrop tokens as a fixed percentage that will essentially be divided by all catnip holders. So whatever the maximum amount of catnip that was collected this whole season, individuals will have a percentage of that maximum total proportion of catnip, and that'll be how many Nyan tokens that they get in their airdrop. So when you go onto our claim page, you'll be able to check how many Nyan tokens you'll be eligible for, and you'll be able to claim that once this season is over. So that is for this season. I'm not sure if you're referring to this season or if you're referring to the eventual game, because there's a second catnip, which is very confusing, and it's my fault. But after this season is over, all the accrued catnip that you've gotten will be converted into Nyan, and then that catnip will be wiped. It's not something that stays in your account. It's just for this airdrop. When the game eventually comes out live, catnip is, for all intents and purposes, our premium currency in-game. So if you buy any premium currency in any free-to-play game ever in the past, diamonds, crystals, riot points, V-Bucks, whatever it happens to be, that is catnip for us. So people will essentially pay fiat for it, and they'll be able to use it to purchase premium items or loot boxes or skins or trade in our marketplace. So that is the use case of catnip. However, it will also be earned through gameplay. So there will be some ways where free players and casual players will be able to play. We'll obviously have level up account progression. We'll also have battle passes. There'll be a free one and a premium one. And as part of just leveling up, as part of completing your battle pass, players will naturally get catnip to be able to use in game on various purchases. If you rank highly in various tournaments, if you rank highly on the leaderboard, there'll also be catnip rewards as part of that ranking. And then the final thing is, if you enter through the Web3 loop, i.e., you're not a Web2 gamer, you've come in, you've already got existing NFTs, you're using those assets to play the game, then you'll essentially unlock an even higher tier of rewards per match. So you'll get catnip at a much higher rate than your kind of regular Web2 or kind of free-to-play gamer.
Web2 gamers are poor is confirmed.
No, man, I actually love the idea of having, I know it's a little bit confusing with both of them being named catnip, but when you explained that, it makes total sense, right? Like, so basically right now the players, the catnip they're earning is relatable to the current campaign that's happening, right? The current airdrop campaign that's happening. Once the game is fully out, then that will become the in-game currency essentially that players can earn.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I think, like once people hear it like that, is really easy to understand, right? Especially when you guys put it in a progression system like a battle pass or something like that, where players can have access to this catnip, right? And earn them as they complete different tiers or missions or whatever it is, right? Achievement hunting. So really cool that you guys are thinking of that. And I love that you mentioned that there's going to be like loot boxes, because that means that there's going to be case openings to some type of extent. And that's, listen, man, you know me, Missy, you know me. I gotta plug it in, bro. We gotta plug in the hobby whenever we can. All right. But I'm excited for that.
No way.
Yes.
Nah, you excited for cases? Nah.
Hey, man, leave me alone. All right. Leave me alone. Let me do my thing. All right. But listen, before we continue with the show, I want to say a quick shout out to our sponsors, Wag Games. And when we come back to the show, I want to get into your recent announcement with Shrapnel. So let's say hello real quick to Wag and then we'll be right back.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors, WAGME. Dive into the expansive universe of WAGME, where multiple games, anime, comics, cosplay, collectibles, and more await your exploration. Experience the excitement of WAGME Defense, a mobile tower defense game available on Android, BlueStacks, and Google Play. Wield your card deck, deploy characters, and defend your towers in the immersive world of Nemosh, set in the year 3022. Shape the outcome of the Nefi Wars as you navigate through the dark backdrop off of world laboratory experiments conducted by extraterrestrial beings known as the Greys. Join the WAGME community today and emerge victorious with bragging rights, collectible cards, and endless adventures. And I hope to see you guys on the battlefield. Can I say real quick?
I didn't know we hired Morpheus to do our fucking ad read. That's crazy.
I have hair, motherfucker. I got hair. Listen, I got to complain real quick. CapCut, y'all took away my favorite font. Bring it back.
All right. Well, listen, shout outs to WAGME Games. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Make sure you guys check them out on the Google Play Store or use BlueStacks if you have an iOS device. But yeah, shout outs to them for sponsoring the episode. And let's get back into it, man. Max, recently you guys announced that you have a partnership coming up with Shrapnel. Any alpha that you can share with this partnership? What is this going to look like? Is this going to be like a map collaboration? I mean, this is something that we're highly excited for because is two shooters are massively popular in the Web3 community, kind of coming together and working alongside another. So can you dive in a little bit more into that partnership or share whatever you're capable of sharing, of course?
Yeah, for sure. I obviously, I'm actually not even sure what I'm allowed to say and what I might get in trouble for saying. So let me just.
Don't worry, Shrapnel loves us. We'll clear it with them.
Yeah, man, it's all good. It's all good. We're all a family here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it should be fine. I don't think it's anything too crazy. But let me start slow, and then we'll see where we end up. Obviously, huge fans of Shrapnel, the game, huge fans of the team as well. I think what they're building is incredible, and I do think that they have an extremely bright future in terms of being one of the flagship Web3 shooters out there, and definitely trying to push that quality bar just like ourselves. I think, yeah, so very, very excited about the partnership. Huge shout out to the Shrapnel team for working with us behind the scenes on that one. So I think initially the partnership, we want it to be a long-term thing. There's so many different things that we can do to kind of kick things off. We are kind of doing a cross-community collaboration to start things off. So essentially, we're running our season 2 airdrop campaign. We also did it for season 1. Technically, we didn't formally announce it, but we did have a cross community collaboration already during season 1, where their community members, their holders, their operator holders, could essentially participate in our season 1 and get some additional rewards in the form of additional points to sort of encourage their community to check out the game as well and try it out and let us know what they think. Ultimately, that will also happen in conversely as well. So when they have their next kind of major event, our community will be able to get involved, hopefully give our holders some perks as well. It starts there. We are also talking about cross-game collaborations when it comes to IP and assets. So yeah, to your point, things like weapon skins or character skins, decals, things like that. Maybe maps. I'm not sure. We haven't actually discussed maps yet, but that is also an option. Ultimately, we want it to be this kind of long-term, mutually beneficial partnership where we're doing things cross IP, cross platform, cross game, cross community, and just really kind of growing the pie together.
Dude, I absolutely love it. I think that's something that we need to see more of in this space. It's just games kind of collaborating with one another, right? Especially if their IP kind of makes sense to do so, right? It's just beautiful. It's a natural way. It's an organic way to grow your community and the people playing your game. If I'm a person that enjoys shooters and there's 2 shooter games kind of pushing each other and like building each other's community, then that helps me kind of discover the games, right, that are available. So really, shout outs to you guys for like approaching it that way and working with someone like Shrapnel, who, there's a lot of people that are big fans of them. So super excited to see where this partnership leads, what kind of things you guys create for the game. And yeah, super hyped to see how this shapes out overall. um Another thing that I wanted to touch on is that one of the biggest pain points that a lot of people like to focus on, especially like Web3 teams, right, is how they onboard like Web2 players to come into playing their games. Right now, I've seen you guys announce like a lot of partnerships with esports, traditional esports teams, right? Is that part of the strategy to onboard the masses, as we like to call it, right? When we're thinking of the traditional gamers, or do you guys have some other strategies that are also being worked on that are going to be released as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the strategies. I don't think onboarding Web 2 gamers into Web 3, there's going to be, one rule book that kind of dictates everything. I think ultimately it's an uphill battle, right? Everyone who's building in Web 3 should be well aware of that, and if you're not, you're kind of, drinking the Kool-Aid. You have to have I think a multifactorial or multi-directional approach in order to help onboard as many Web 2 or traditional gamers as possible. Esports is definitely one of those. It's not our only one. I think a lot of it comes down to simplicity. I'm not someone who likes to overthink things. I'm a pretty simple-minded person, and when it comes to onboarding Web 2 gamers, of which I think we all are here, we're traditional gamers. We like great games. We don't want to overcomplicate things. It's like, just make a damn good game and then do a great job marketing it. I think, I'm definitely not someone that says, that thinks, oh, just make a good product and people will come. There definitely has to be a really strong marketing effort when it comes down to it. But I think it starts with having a great product. And we want to make sure that by the time we launch, we really have this thesis of where the Web3 gaming ecosystem is going to be. And unfortunately, I think we're still very early. And we're not going to be at the point where we have this mass adoption in Web 2. Do we really think that in the span of 9 months to 12 months that we're going to have this massive paradigm shift in the gaming industry where now Web 3 is going to be mainstream and all these Web 2 gamers are going to be transitioning across in 9 to 12 months? Probably not. Like it takes a long time to build that, and we're still very much at the early stage of the S curve. So when we think about onboarding Web 2 games, the last thing that we want is friction. We want to create a really seamless onboarding kind of user experience where it's just what Web 2 gamers are familiar with. They log into Epic or Steam, their favorite kind of platform. They sign up or an email if necessary, and then they just start playing the game. There is no wallet that gets shoved down their throats. There's no NFTs that they have to buy. It is purely a standard traditional game experience. And then we have a Web3 funnel for those curious players that want to explore, that kind of maybe have heard a little bit about it. They're not super negative, but they don't know much about it. We provide easy onboarding tutorials for those players as an optional layer. So, that's our approach. It starts with a great product. It involves a lot of multifactorial marketing channels. Esports is one of them. We're really excited about that, by the way. And yeah, it's just going to be an uphill battle. And we have to do the challenge in Web3 is you have to do everything well. You have to be able to market to your Web3 audience. You have to be able to market to your Web2 audience. You have to make a great product for Web2. You also have to make a great product that incentivizes those financially kind of oriented in Web3 for the degens. You have to do everything. You have to create a narrative. You have to create something that isn't too difficult to digest for regular gamers as well. So it's treading that line, which is the challenge.
I do have a quick question that I will hop in real quick. I was actually watching a stream the other day, not the other day, it was like a couple weeks back. And this guy that I actually met in real life, he was like a big streamer or whatever. He played Apex Legends, had this massive banner of Nyan Heroes. And I was like, whoa, what the hell? Like, I know what that is. That's crazy that's on this person's stream. And I noticed that there were like more than one streamer that were doing that, right? So when you talk about that marketing, What is the strategy? I mean, you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but like, what is the mentality and focus of like how you are approaching Web 2 events? Because I think you could even go further to like maybe dive into the Smash Melee scene, because I did see a banner for Parallel, which is another Web3 brand. So I mean, are you guys looking to like kind of go into those event spaces and just kind of be that you know, focus on the branding? Are you kind of trying to focus more on the gameplay? Like what's the approach there for marketing?
From my side, it's definitely focusing on the game. You know, we definitely want to do events and brand activations, but I think at the core, we want to focus on the core game loop and the core gameplay experience. So we did do some marketing activities with Web 2 content creators and Twitch streamers, and to be honest, that was more of a test than anything else. We had about a 80% Web3 focus with our marketing and a 20% Web2 focus. And it was more to get data than anything else. We wanted to just hear what these Web2 creators and their audiences were saying about the game. And obviously, we had our reservations. We didn't think that it would be that positive just because of the stigma around Web3 games. But we were actually very pleasantly surprised. Because out of all the Web 2 content creators that we worked with, we actually had, and this is not even exaggeration, we had a 100% hit rate when it came to positive sentiment analysis from their streams, from them personally, as well as their audience. So what we found was that when the sponsored segment would start, they would say, you know, hey, it's a sponsored segment, it's a Web3 game. And you would get a lot of negativity in the comments, as well as even sometimes the streamers, they would kind of make fun of it themselves.
Yeah, I watched one of these. I want to hop in after you're done.
Yeah, it would almost always start negative, or at least neutral or a bit uncertain. But once they started playing the game, we saw a 100% hit rate when it came to positive sentiment coming out from the streamer, as well as surprisingly the audience. And for us, this was really exciting because, firstly, I don't think there are many Web3 games that are even. I was called like a bit insane to even think about marketing to Web2 content creators at this stage of a pre-alpha. And so, you know, I don't think there have been many Web3 games that have even marketed to Web2 content creators. And we were kind of either brave enough or stupid enough to do it. But at the end of the day, we got so much great positive feedback from these creators and their audiences. A number of them reached out to us after their engagement and just said, hey, we don't normally reach out, but I just wanted to say thank you for, you know, getting me to play this game. It was very different from all of the other sponsored streams that I've done. And actually, I would be very happy to get involved again. Yeah, awesome. Which was amazing validation for us. So yeah, we were super excited by that.
That's freaking awesome, man. Missy, I know you said you wanted to hop in. Yeah,
I watched specifically one of Bella Boo's streams before I was aware that you guys were really doing Web2 marketing. I kind of just saw it come up on Twitter, and I watched the beginning to, I would say, like the halfway point, and I saw exactly what you said, right? Like when she first announced it, everyone in the chat was like, this is a scam. It was very negative. They were making fun of her. Her mods were like trying to stick up for her, but it was pretty violent. I would say it was like not violent, but it was like they were not having it, you know. And as the stream went on, you can kind of see the tide shift, right? Like she was trying out the different characters. She was kind of trying to find her meta. I remember like the moment where she looked like she started having fun, but specifically when she was running Spartan with the shotgun, and she had been like getting destroyed before that. Then once she kind of found like the Spartan with the shotgun, she started having fun. The community started to kind of be like, okay, this is pretty like solid. This doesn't look too bad. I saw a couple people in the chat being like, we're gonna download this, try it out. I was trying to stream sniper to see if I can kill her and get a clip. It didn't work. But it was really cool to watch because for me it was like you know, I'm someone that's very similar to you, right? Like very experimental. I like to get the feedback while it's almost dumb to get it. Like we do a lot of stuff at Catalyst that's very similar to that, where we just do stupid experiments all the time because you just never know what the data is going to look like, right? And watching that almost like use case moment happen was fucking sick. So shouts out to you guys, man.
Yeah. If anything, that just highlights how much work we need to do internally as a ecosystem, right? Like Web3 as a space to shift like the mentality and like this like well, how do I call it? Like this
Stigma.
basically the stigma of like negativity towards like the word NFTs or just hearing crypto games, right? Or like Web3 games. So it's definitely interesting to see how people's perception are shifting when they see gameplay now, because I do think a lot of the teams that are available in the spaces, a lot of the games available in the spaces have, put a lot of effort into making good gameplay, good games, so people are seeing this now when other streamers are playing it, and they're like seeing like, oh, not all Web3s are like games are scams, like some of them actually have solid gameplay or like a solid game loop, and they're really interesting IPs, so it's really cool to see that.
I think it's a lot of it is just about being fearless, man. Like,
Being what? I'm sorry.
Fearless. We're gonna
fearless,
come across. We're gonna come across a lot of people. Like people will feel that way, and they will say it's a scam, and that's just kind of what we have to deal with. Like Bella, straight up. What I liked about Bella is how she handled it during her stream was she was straight up like, it's not a scam. She wasn't like trying to convince people that it wasn't. She was like, it isn't a scam. Like, if you call it a scam, you're wrong. And that's that. I basically don't give a fuck what you actually think. I'm telling you, it's not a scam.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about convincing people either. I think it's just showing them, right? Let the gameplay do the talking for you. Like, let the game do the talking for you. Show them, like, the game is fun. There's a community playing it. And that's what, at the end of the day, what we're all here for, man. Like, it's cool that we have economy systems in our games and stuff like that, and that we can have earning potentials and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're all here to play fun games that are highly entertaining and fun to play.
Yeah, what I will say about streamers too is like you're the leader of the audience, right? So like if you're not having fun, they're gonna know for sure, right? But when you have fun, they're like, damn, I want to have fun too, right? Because they're watching the streamer for a reason. So to see that kind of like transition to real time is really good. And I agree, experimental stuff can pay off.
Well, and I wanted to touch on something that Max brought up, right? Which is more teams should put attention into how they're spending their marketing, right? And how effective they're being with marketing. And that's what they should focus when trying to onboard the masses or like Web2 traditional gamers, however you want to call them, right? Like what Max said, like making a fun game, right? Making it easy to access it, right? Like easy accessibility. And basically not shoving the Web3 side of it down people's throat, right? And just allowing a natural way for people to discover that if they want to, right? I think those are key points that every game in Web3 should always keep in mind when they're trying to bring traditional gamers into their games, And that kind of leads into the next segment that I wanted to get into, which is surrounding the attention economy that is in Web3, right? Because this is the one space where people move at like light years, and it's like super quickly, like everything is always moving, right? People's expectations become really like about fast delivery, right? Like, for example, when I see Nyan, this is a game that has been building for 2 years. That's really not a long time. And it's amazing to see what you guys have accomplished in those 2 years, right? But I do feel like people in Web3 move really quickly. So I wanted to ask you, Mas, for the time being that you guys had the games closed, right? How did the team deal with that, knowing that the attention in Web3 moves really quickly? And what were some of the plans that you guys put into place to maintain the crowd here and excited for the next playtest, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Web3 is another beast. And I 100% agree with the fact that the attention economy is so fast paced. And if you kind of, you almost feel like if you don't have an update in a month, you are yesterday's news and you are completely out of the spotlight.
Yep.
And that's challenging. I think for us, it's we've taken a bit of time, 2 years, and I agree it's not a long time, but it's also not nothing, to kind of refine some of our development pipelines to ensure that we do have a rapidly iterative workflow That is super important for us. A lot of development studios, and this is something that I've learned, working with a lot of these traditional AAA devs in the context of Web3, is that a lot of them are not used to this sort of rapid pace of iteration, and the workflows and pipelines that all these devs are used to are things that take years to develop, and they're often allowed to develop these things in complete sort of black box where no one sees what is going on, no one knows what is going on. No one is holding them accountable for anything until the very end. Whereas in Web3, it's completely different. But thankfully, we've been able to refine our pipelines to ensure that we have a rapidly iterative, workflow where we can actually develop and ship a build with maybe not the most updates at a frequent sort of pace. Obviously, game dev still takes a long time, but it will be functional and there will be updates, even if they are small, even if they are bite-sized. There might be one new feature, there might be a couple new features, there might be some new animations, there might be some new VFX, but we will have that. And as long as we can craft, something engaging for the community to do around those updates, I think that is basically the goal, because you can't shortcut a lot of things in game dev. It's just not possible. Yeah. So, beyond having, eight times the team size that we have now, it's not going to be possible to fast track any more than we're already doing. And I think our pace is quite good relative to some of the other studios that we've seen in the space anyway. So I think it's just about keeping things open, being transparent, sharing updates frequently, in whatever kind of size or shape that they come in. Even like the alpha that I shared with you guys today, that's super useful for the community to be aware that, hey, there is more exciting stuff in the pipeline. And so that's kind of the framework that we're using to build Nyan out.
Yeah, no, I love that answer, man, because I think those are very solid points to make, right? Like, especially for teams that have no other choice and they do need to take a little break to continue development or fix bugs or anything like that. Just know that it's the more engaged that you are with your community and keeping them with the little updates, right? The little bit of alpha, like, hey, like, we're not just disappearing, we're actually working and continuously to improve the game. That's, most of the time, that's what the community is looking for, right? They're looking for a way to feel at ease that the game is coming back. There's new updates coming. There's things being built out, right? So that's really cool to hear. Moving forward, like, obviously Nyan being a Solana game, right? Like, how had that experience been for you guys? Like, building in Solana, working with the chain, right? Has it been an overall positive experience? The tools that are being provided for the economy side of Nyan. Like, can you talk a little bit more on what that experience has been like overall?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, right now we don't have too many of our systems hooked up into the whole sort of on-chain side, where we're still building that out, and eventually it will all be hooked up. But right now we don't have any sort of on-chain functionality in the game, so to speak. So, obviously, when it comes to some of the outages that the chain has suffered over the last few years, we've been relatively unaffected by that, simply because it hasn't really affected any of our systems that we're building anyway. That's all kind of happening on the back end, and when it's ready, we'll kind of implement that, and hopefully by that time, they'll have sorted out some of the congestion issues. But obviously, that's a good thing, right? I mean, I think a lot of people create FUD and whatnot about that as they will. But ultimately, network congestion because of use case and actual users coming in and retail getting involved, like, that is a good thing. And they've shown time and time again that they are able to deal with these things. They are able to be nimble and ship quickly and overcome these issues. That's why, when they were flooded at the peak of the bear market, when I think Sol went down to maybe $8 or $10 or something like that.
Yeah, it was $8.
Yeah, like, nothing stopped. They have a really vibrant developer community. I think that's the biggest kind of indicator. It's like, how many devs are actually still working in that ecosystem through the bear, and it's still really robust. The people like ourselves, people working in DeFi in all areas of infrastructure, they continue to build. I think that's the biggest indicator of the longevity of the chain. And ultimately, I'm super bullish on Solana as a chain. I'm super bullish on the kind of the capacity of the chain, and ultimately it's just how they've built it from first principles. In order to be, they're using a super low level language as well that ultimately will allow it to scale better than other chains. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, though, whilst I am personally a Solana maxi, we're building a game. So we want to be able to provide our gamers this kind of like back-end blockchain support no matter where they are. So whilst I am a Solana maxi myself, it doesn't necessarily mean that if something were to happen to the chain, or we wanted to accommodate users in a separate environment, that we wouldn't do that.
Hey, there's stable coins coming to Solana in June, like massive stuff coming. So it's gonna get more and more active, boys.
Listen, I love it, man. Solana stays like Max says, they stay with a lot of developers being involved in their chain, and a lot of people are still building in there. So I'm just excited to continue seeing more games come into the chain, and games like Nyan continuing to build out their games and update their economy and all this type of sort of stuff like coming into the ecosystem, so super hyped for that. As we're approaching the end of the show here, Max, I wanted to ask you, for any upcoming projects that are trying to build a game inside of Web3, right? What would you consider, what would you advise them on being the main points to focus on as they're building out their community and as they're building out their game?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one because obviously everyone is going to have a different answer. I don't necessarily think there's a right and wrong way to necessarily. Well, there's certainly many wrong ways to do it, but I don't think there's only one right way. Is what I meant to say. But I think success can be had in multiple different ways. It all depends on what your ultimate vision is. So I think for us, or for me at least, my vision, I'm the creative director at Nyan Heroes, so I put a lot of emphasis on product and kind of creative vision and creative identity. So for me, I really value creating something that is visually unique, something that is interesting to players, hopefully something that surprises them. We want to create this kind of surprise and delight moments throughout the game, littered throughout the game as you kind of play. I think we've seen that play out quite well in some of the more popular games recently, like Power World and Helldivers. It's the surprise factor that really kind of continues to capture the attention of gamers. Ultimately, there's so many games coming out these days that I feel like are devoid of any soul or love or life. It just feels like this machine has churned out some latest garbage based on data and metrics that they feel like will work. But players are becoming more and more savvy to all of these things. They're trying to look for experiences that are new. That's why I think a lot of indie studios are actually finding more success than these AAA studios recently, because ultimately they're building things with love and their own blood, sweat, and tears, IP that they really believe in. That's our direction. We want to create something that is truly unique, something that is really interesting, something that gives players a new experience. And I think as long as you're, whatever your vision is, it doesn't have to be that, but as long as your vision starts with good intentions and you stay true to the course and don't let yourself deviate based on whatever shiny object is currently out in the limelight, you should be okay.
That's beautiful advice, man, and I love it. And I agree with you with the surprise factor in games, right? I think a lot of games have fallen into the cracks of like whether they've been building their IPs for years and now they have like this history of like assets that they can use to create new games and stuff like that, and it ends up feeling like a clone or like a replica, right? I think like games that create a brand new IP that feels unique and new is what's resonating with the player bases right now, and that's how I feel with Nyan, for example. The first time I saw the little cat pop out, that to me was a new way to indicate like a second life, right? Like a second opportunity for you to not accumulate death into your record, right? Like, oh, like if I can stay alive for this many seconds, or if I can kill somebody as a little cat, I get instant respawn. Those type of little mechanics are kind of new to, especially to the shooter type of games, right? So props to you guys for figuring out little things like that and making the IP feel unique overall, so really, really cool to see.
Yeah, can I just like say something as well? Because I know some people might hear me talking about unique IP and stuff, and there's always going to be people out there that take that coin and be like, oh, but your game is an Overwatch copy. Normally, right? I'm not. I try not to be too controversial, but whenever I hear that, I can't help but kind of
Talk your
bite my
shit,
tongue.
Max. Talk your shit.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it in a few occasions for sure, and of course, there's going to be some similarities, but I think ultimately all traditional games have some inspiration from some other game. I think a truly unique game is extremely rare. It's actually 1 in a million. I think these days there's always going to be some kind of references that people draw from other games, and even Overwatch. For those people that call us Overwatch clones, like even Overwatch was a clone of Team Fortress. Like nothing they did was fundamentally unique either. And the reality is, I think for those people comparing us to Overwatch, like I just don't think they've played the game. Like they're not real gamers, in my opinion, because our mechanics are so different from Overwatch. Our TTK
It
is
fucking
completely
is, dude.
different. Our movement is like you can't move like we do in our game in Overwatch. It's a completely different mechanic.
Yep.
And they haven't used our augment abilities. Our weapons are completely, you can pick whatever weapon you want, and that feeds into our dynamic augment ability, which, as far as I'm aware, is not only unique compared to Overwatch, but has never been done in any shooter game in my knowledge.
Yep.
So I just think that the comparisons, like for sure, we've taken some inspiration, definitely. And for example, like some of the abilities, there's definitely a lot of crossover, but at the same time, it's like, how many different ways can you make a blink ability? Like, of course, people are going to compare it to Tracer, but at the end of the day, there's so many games where a character has blink. But because we're a shooter,
I mean, they got
You
it.
have Apex. Apex Legends literally has the girl that blinks
The
out.
robot girl.
But I mean, WoW's had Blink since 04, man. Like,
I mean,
Look,
listen. At the end of the day,
Overwatch
the
is
most important. The most
Overwatch is a
important
dead
point here
game.
is that it's fine to draw inspiration from a game. That's very different than just making like a copy of a game, like a side by side copy of a game, right? Like definitely inspiration is drawn on from different types of games. But even me being someone that hasn't played Overwatch for too many times or too long, I can definitely see the differences between the two games. I don't think it's the same game at all, but I mean, I don't know, man. People have their own opinions. I agree with your point, though, Max. I think anybody saying that hasn't really played both of the games or one of the games to make that conclusion.
listen,
And Max already said Valorant and League was like more of an inspiration.
Or
Overwatch is dead.
Titanfall too, yeah.
Well, I'm
listen,
just saying,
I played the fuck out of Overwatch because I'm a Blizzard maxi when it first came out, right? And I've been playing Blizzard games since I was 4, right? So when Overwatch came out, it was innovative as shit. It blew my mind. I hadn't played TF2 yet. I hadn't done anything like that. And when I played Nyan Heroes, honestly, the only thing that I guess could be comparable is, like Max said, some of the abilities. The movement mechanics completely changed the entire dynamic of the game. The metas are completely different. The fact that I can pick any weapon with the character is actually my favorite thing about Overwatch, about Nyan Heroes, because I'm like right now I'm like 3-4 hours of sleep. I'm on a podcast. I'm definitely not gonna get kills with the assault rifle. I'm not focused enough. So I can switch. I can still roll around with either Spartan or Atlas. Switch to the rocket launcher, cheese a little bit, get some easy kills. It's just a completely different experience with each weapon that you give the character, and that shit is fire. And I love that. And Max is right. I've never really had that experience with another game. And that is the fact that I can kind of just like pick my poison with each character is probably the coolest thing about this game. Outside of being able to run on walls the way you can. Yeah.
And clawing people.
Yeah. There's no cats in Overwatch. There's none but cats.
The one thing I will say about the community when it comes to Nyan Heroes is I did a montage where I was just kind of being like, it was pretty douchey. Like I put a gangster song. I had like a bunch of fucking explicitives and shit. I want to see more memes, man. I want to see more memes. Like we have cats. I think one of the better things about Nyan Heroes from a marketing perspective and from like a content perspective, like I mean, we called our squad the Dead Pussy Society, right? Like it's DPS, baby. It's DPS all the way. Like we don't have an official in-game squad, but that's the name's gonna be. Like we need to get dumber and like more memey with the game. I feel. Like I want to do a montage where I'm just like doing like little cat kills, like the Nyan cat kills. And then just make it like stupid as shit, like just pure left curve all the way. I don't know. I feel like we're squandering the opportunity for really easy viral content because it's just silly in certain regards, but it's like actually a good game at the same time. So I think what makes me very bullish on Nyan Heroes is that memeability, because it's like a good game, but then it doesn't take itself too seriously. And I think that's really key for marketing specifically in Web3, but also going viral in Web2. Because, like, how funny if you get the right meme to hit with this game, like, it will go viral no matter where it is. Yeah. And that would be great. So I'll be experimenting with a lot of memes this season.
Man, you guys are getting the alpha for content over here live from Missy, man. Get your notes out, get to work. Let's see some more memes. I love the memes, man. I think you're right. I think this game has huge potential for that. But listen, overall, this whole episode has been a fantastic episode, man. I love all the alpha and all the information that we're getting from Nyan. And thank you, Max, for being here with us, man. We're getting to that part of the show where we give the floor back to you, man, and you can let the viewers know anything that's popping up with Nyan that's upcoming that you want them to be aware of or involved with. Now's the time, man. Let them know of the alpha coming up.
Yeah, appreciate you guys all again for having me on. It was great. I will definitely agree with Mizzy about the memes. Just so happens, we might have an opening for Meme Lord Resident at Nyan Heroes. Let us know if you want. If you're interested.
Oh shit! What's up?
It's not an official position. We pay you in Catnip.
I love it, dude. I love it.
Okay, and
no, but I definitely agree. We could be leveraging the meme element a lot more, and we definitely have plans on doing that as well. So if you have any ideas, feel free to shoot them over. Yeah, I mean, for anyone else who's interested, it is live on Epic Games at the moment. Just type in Epic Nyan Heroes demo. You'll be able to download and play it. There's no barriers. There's no NFT requirements. There's no code requirements. Just go in and have a few games and see what you think. It is pre-alpha, so there are still some bugs, but hopefully the overall experience is fun. And hopefully your teammates aren't bots, because and by bots I just mean bad players, because we don't actually have any bots in the game at the moment. Yeah, just try it out.
That's a huge flex, by the way.
For real.
Yep.
Yeah, no, we never have. You'll never find a bot that, as in an AI controlled enemy. You will find plenty of bots though, i.e. players that don't have any hands, players that don't know what they're doing, players that just kind of like stand in the corner and disconnect. Yeah, you will have plenty of those.
I would say in this season, I've seen a lot more active. I haven't seen a lobby this season where, in the season 1, there was a couple players that would stay in the home base and not play at all. This season, I've seen everybody be active. I haven't seen anybody stay in the spawn as of yet. So really cool.
we changed a few of the missions, because there's a few that just had like 20 hours of play time, some that had like running along on walls, and that was encouraging people just to do random stuff that didn't really contribute to the gameplay. So we took those out and we replaced them with things that, like, getting kills with certain weapons, getting MVP, which obviously means you have to perform well. So I think, that's probably why you're seeing some more competitive players get out there, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, play the game, test it out for yourself. Join our socials, join our Discord. We will at some point have a if you did contribute, if you did participate in any of the airdrop seasons, then keep your notifications on, because we will be announcing, I would say soon, some details around that, like how to claim, when to claim, some details around our TGE as well. So yeah, stay tuned for that as well. So thank you.
Retirement is nigh. No, I'm just kidding.
Legend and being here on the show with us, man. Guys, this has been another episode of the Catalyst Effect podcast. Make sure you guys check out Nyan Heroes in the Epic Store. And shout outs to WagMe Games for sponsoring this episode of the show. We'll catch you guys here live.
Wait.
What's up, man? What's up?
Shout out Dylan the Villain, bro. You've been in the comments and I never shouted you out, man. You're a legend.
Dylan the Villain, man.
Love you, broski. We gotta link up in Nyan again soon. All right, peace, everyone.
All right, with that, peace out, everyone. We'll see you next week on Sunday. Peace.
Cheers.